The only real God is the one that you believe in. Start looking for the God in others. And if you find you're tuning into a wave, well then I don't know much about being saved.
Welcome in, everybody.
Hello, Earthlings.
Hello, Earthlings and friends.
And alien friends.
And alien friends.
Yes.
Very nice. This is Spiritual Philosophy Chatter with the Joneses. I'm Danny Jones.
And I am Samantha Jones.
And this is episode number 14.
Aliens.
This is right up my alley.
It is.
Not that I'm like a specialist at it or anything, but...
No, but you know a lot. When we started getting the research for this, you knew a lot more than I did and about what to look up for sure. So...
Well, I just very intrigued. I always have to. So...
For sure.
I watch a lot of that stuff.
Yes.
Or I have. I haven't much, but
Not
I still
lately.
do now and then.
Yeah.
Cool. So before we jump into that, what about last week? Anything?
Yes, I have a couple things. There was a comment about last week's episode. It was, I wanted to tell you how enlightening I found your episode on Ouija boards and tarot cards. I am on the list of people that have been told that there is a curse on me. I lived my life for so many years terrified after what I was told. It wasn't until about 10 years later that I saw a medium who told me curses aren't real. It was like 1,000,000 tons was lifted off my shoulders. Hearing you confirm that helped me even more. I can't believe the torture I put myself through because I believed someone I shouldn't have. And it showed me how powerful our minds actually are. Thank you for helping to open up the minds of others.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Whoever you were, thanks for saying
That's
that.
Sarah.
Sarah
said that, yep.
Thanks, Sarah.
Yeah.
And thanks to the psychic that told her that, because it is a bunch of baloney.
It is. And there's a lot of people out there that try to take money by saying things like that. You know, oh, I can remove a curse from you. It's just going to cost you a few $100s. I didn't fall for it, but I had actually quite a few psychics try that on me. And so it does happen.
Right.
For sure.
Go buy me 100 gift cards.
Right.
And I'm going to build this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We talked about that in a previous episode. The one that told me that she could build a me and a him out of clothes from. I just need to get her Walmart gift cards.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then she could remove my love curse. Yeah. Okay. Whatever. So,
there's shady people in all walks of life.
There are, for sure.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, it is. But I'm glad that this lady was able to get on with her life because
that's awesome.
The mind really is very powerful. You can convince yourself of anything. Somebody tells you there's a curse on you and you believe it. Sure, there's a curse on you. It's all in your mind.
Yeah, perception.
Yep, it's all about perception.
Everything's perception.
Yep. And I received an interesting message this week from a friend of mine, and she sent me a link to a video about the show The Simpsons. We've talked about this briefly.
Oh, yeah.
That the writers, whether it's multiple writers or one that seems to have some kind of abilities, there are always predictions on The Simpsons. There are so many things that are identical. There's a scene that was in The Simpsons. I don't even know what year it was, but it showed Trump as president, and then there was an actual picture just like that scene from The Simpsons. Some of the things that they predicted, Donald Trump becoming president, like I said, the smartwatch, iPods, the 2018 World Cup winner, all of these things were in episodes. But the way that this video was presenting it is this writer a time traveler? And so she sent it to me as, what do you think about this? Do you think that this is time travel? And while I'm not saying time travel isn't real, I think it's much more logical to assume that they have a psychic on staff.
I would probably go with that first.
Yeah. Because I could do
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. I could, if I could draw, I mean, you could draw, I could tell you my visions, you could draw them. It's the same kind of thing. And then they happen. That's what happens to us. So.
Yeah. If you get that kind of vision, tell me, I'll draw it.
Yeah, there you go. But I mean, it's cool to think that it could be time travel, but I think it's a lot more simple than that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole nother issue and
Yeah.
an episode, but
Oh, for
and I think
sure.
we should maybe delve into it. But yeah, I wouldn't go that far with this.
No, I wouldn't either.
Yeah.
It's much more simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was cool.
Yeah. I enjoyed that.
Nice.
All I got.
Is that it for?
That's it.
All right. Well, then let's jump in on to 14.
Aliens. So I've mentioned before how sometimes these topics come to us and how like we'll kind of intuitively they'll come to us. And this week I was having kind of a difficult time and I had asked some friends, can you give me some ideas of things that you might want to hear about, you know? And it was funny because they kept throwing things at me and I was like, no, you know, like I didn't want to be rude and say, that's not it, but that's not it. Like
Right.
I was waiting for the click, you know, the click to tell me intuitively that that's it.
Yeah.
And then we were standing in the kitchen and we were talking about this whole raid of Area 51 and it clicked that this is the perfect time to talk about aliens because we're right smack dab in some crazy pop culture soon to be history. I mean, if you haven't heard about this, I'm sure everybody's heard about this. There's this potential raid on Area 51 that at this time about 3 million people say that they're interested in or are going to. And we'll get into it later. But that is, let's see, this is the middle of July. That's the middle of September. So we still have 2 months until this happens, but or so-called happens, but we'll see. But
we'll I really hope that doesn't happen because that's just not going to be pretty.
Yeah, I think it's...
I hope it's a joke.
They say it's a joke, so like I said, we'll get into that later. But
I mean, I kind of see people's point, just to tap in it real fast, that, okay, maybe it's taxpayers' money, and we have a right to know what's going on. But you know what? Some things are national security, and if you let everybody know about it, then they're not top secret anymore. Then everybody gets the information. And so who has the advantage? I mean... that really important?
Right. And do we really want to know these things? I mean... Yeah,
I don't, probably half those people would flip their lid if they saw something that they really shouldn't, that they're not, let's say, that was out of this world.
Right. What are they going to do?
Right. Yeah. I don't think there's anything living there anymore.
I don't either. Yeah, but maybe we'll find out someday. Who knows? Yeah. So I did polls, like always. And the first question that I asked our listeners is if they believe that there is life on other planets. And 92% of them said that they do believe that there is. A couple of the comments were, we would be crazy to think we are the only living beings in this universe. That's from Chris.
Yeah.
And there is too much space out there. The universe is too old for us to be the only life.
Yep.
Melissa said that, and Melissa, she popped a little light switch in me, and I went and looked up just how old the universe is, and they said 12 to 14 billion years old. So what people that don't believe there's life on other planets believe is that this is it right here for 14 billion years.
There's no way.
There's no way in my mind.
And that's even assuming that that's a correct or even close estimation or guess. I can
tell you, because I do know the national average, and it is 80% of Americans believe.
Believe what? That
some form of alien life exists.
No, I meant about how old the universe is.
Oh, gotcha. Sorry.
But no,
Yeah, that's up for debate as far as, religion or whatever goes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the way I see it is we are aliens. We are evolution of life across this universe. And I do not buy that we're the center of it and we're alone. It's outside of who asked about or commented on there, possibly microorb.
Oh yeah, Lori had mentioned that she was thinking micro. Oh yeah.
What?
Microbial.
I guess.
I don't know.
Okay, so not like full on species, kind of thing, but germs and
things like that. And
I think that definitely exists in our solar system, and beyond, but it goes way beyond that.
I believe so too.
Intelligence wise, I think we're at the bottom
of
that scale.
Oh, I definitely agree with you there. We've been listening to a book by Dolores Cannon. She is an amazing woman, a hypnotherapist that did a lot of research on so many different things. And I think we'll do an episode at some point just about Dolores.
Yeah.
But she...
Amazing.
Yeah, this book that we both kind of listened to over the last week here, Keeper of the Gardens, it's all about past life regression of people that have experienced having their soul as an... I don't know how to explain it. As an alien, I guess.
In a different life.
Yeah, that they were reincarnated as an alien. And it's very, very interesting. Definitely a good... We're listening to it, but you can read it also. A good read, for sure.
We're listening to a couple of her books. And, I mean, she's been doing this since like 1968, and I think exclusively the past regression kind of hypnotherapy.
Yeah.
Past life regression hypnotherapy since, I don't know, mid-70s, early 80s.
Right.
So a long time. It dealt with a lot of different people in a lot of different walks of life. And there is such a common thread in almost everything that these people are saying.
There is. Yep. And one of those, that's why I thought about it.
Many
is that,
common threads.
Yeah. That Earth is kind of one of the lower on the evolutionary scale at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're out there, but they see our nature and they don't want to be involved.
No. And do you blame them?
Right.
Because here's the thing, like, what are we afraid of?
Right.
We don't know. That's what we're afraid of. We're afraid of the unknown. We don't know what these creatures would do but we immediately go to defensive.
We react out of paranoia.
Yes.
And fear.
Yes.
Instead of literally we come in peace.
Right.
And what could we learn from these other entities and beings that would help our world? Right. And we're at a serious changing point. I mean, we're in the process of that.
I think so.
I guess they kind of call it the age of Aquarius, or
is that what it is?
Something to that effect. But, yeah, I mean, look at things like Battle of L.A.
Yes.
1942.
Yes, we were talking about this earlier. This was a very interesting piece of information that I didn't know anything about. Do you want to explain it a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, this is, obviously wartime, Los Angeles, 1942. There's fear of Japanese attacking us. Supposedly, there was anti-aircraft air balloons.
Yeah.
What they claim was balloons in the
Weather
air.
balloons.
Weather balloons.
Yeah.
Which is also what they claim 5 years later in another incident we'll talk about.
Yeah.
But so they claim that these are weather balloons, and then they put up anti-aircraft balloons, I think they said, to catch anybody that was out there.
Right.
And some of the soldiers got scared or paranoid, trigger happy, and then everybody starts firing in the sky.
Yeah, there was the air raid sirens started going.
Right.
It was actually, people thought that the Japanese were coming here now, and it was, so people started firing guns into the air, and, but, wow.
Yeah, some people died from some of those shot, some of that gunfire.
And from heart attacks.
And
too.
heart attacks.
Yeah.
So, and then now you fast forward 5 years later to Roswell, where they again say it's a weather balloon.
Right.
Now, I'm not positive if you found out in your research whether Area 51 existed before Roswell.
No, it was after.
After Roswell.
Yes.
That's interesting because it's generally close to that area.
Yes.
So, and I think there's something, even though to us may look flat and plain there's something that draws them.
Right.
To certain places. But I mean, I think they visit everywhere.
Yeah.
And people might trip on this. I think they walk amongst us.
I do
think
too.
That
was,
people have been abducted for scientific research on their part. And we're being bred. But that's been going on for millions of years.
Right. Well, when you and I first started dating, you got me into watching that, what is that show called? Ancient Aliens?
Oh, yeah.
With the guy with the hair,
Love
right?
him.
And I remember at the beginning of watching it, they were talking about like how certain things are set in certain patterns. It looks like maybe there was help from aliens, like the pyramids and different things that.
Oh yeah.
And I was watching the show and I was like, this is the most ridiculous garbage I've ever heard.
Right.
And you know what? Now I believe it.
And
I
the
do.
other issue is, they're here to kind of, I think if anything, maybe help us bring us into this whatever age of Aquarius or this age of enlightenment, where a lot of this technology, even with our own minds, and think about our own brains and supposedly how many brain cells we carry in our brains, and we use but a tiny fraction of it. So that mind was meant for something
so much more
greater. And I think it used to use it for something greater.
Oh, for sure.
Throughout different times in our civilization.
Yep.
But we were abusing it because of our nature, the same nature that we want to go and attack these beings that may or may not be visiting us. It's kind of all tied together, but
it is. It is. Why do we want to attack them? That comes.
No,
back
we
to
could
that
learn so
again.
much from it. So I think that they're kind of showing us, and we're coming back into that.
Right.
That kind of age where this information, and if you look at those monuments like the pyramids and the things that you mentioned, if you map them out on the globe, they're strategically placed that if you were to draw lines connecting them all, it creates a geometric design around the globe.
It's a trip.
They were sources of not only energy for these societies, but globally.
Right.
It affected the globe, and that was shared with us by them or by us being kind of bred in them.
Right.
And another issue is look at the human DNA.
Right. That's a
There
good
is
point.
one chromosome they don't know where it came from.
They actually, I've heard it referred to as alien DNA because the term alien is just basically something that's not like native or normal or, something unusual or unknown. So it's alien DNA, and it very well could be that.
Yeah.
Why not? Because we've never seen it. Again, you don't see oxygen, but you know it's there.
Right. So, but look how long a human species has been around, and then where did that come from, and then so on and so on.
Right. Exactly. So I also asked, do you believe that aliens abduct humans from Earth? And 44% said yes. So I think that the word abduct is a broad term, but I do believe there's some really interesting stories. I have learned a lot the last few days doing this research of all of the different stories, like the big ones. And I've told you about this one, Betty and Barney Hill, a little bit.
Real fast on that. Just that question itself is, why is that so hard for people to believe that if there was other life, are they abducting us? It's not meant for mean reasons, scary reasons. Again, it's for
they're not
research.
Like torturing or
But again, if we had a situation in 1947 in Roswell where something crashed and there was a being alive, and we didn't let that being go home,
right?
Didn't we abduct it?
Right, exactly.
For scientific research.
And are they abducting? Okay, but they're bringing them back,
right?
And
exactly.
They're not really hurting anybody.
No, they're not.
If this is what's actually happening. But this case, like I was talking about of Betty and Barney Hill, this was in 1961. And this was a couple that was driving home from Niagara Falls, and they saw something off in the distance that they thought was an airplane. And it turned out to be a UFO. And they stopped the car, got out. The husband's looking at it with binoculars and everything. And they realize what it is. And they get in their car and they start driving. And then there's a gap in time.
Right.
And
it was like 3 hours?
3-hour gap.
Right.
The drive should have taken them 4 hours. It took them 7.
Unaccounted for.
They get home, right? Because they don't remember any of this, that they're abducted. They get home and they go to bed. And then the next day she notices that there's things wrong with her dress. Her dress is torn and there's pink powder on it. And just a bunch of weird things that they didn't quite understand.
Right.
And so they called the Air Force. and the Air Force sent out what's the name of that group called?
Blue Book.
The
Project Blue Book.
Project Blue Book. Blue Book. And so they go out and talk to Betty and Barney, and the problem is these two don't remember anything. They remember a UFO, but they remember getting in their car and driving home and nothing in between. So what they did is put them under hypnosis. And through hypnosis, they were able to get the stories out of both of them, and the stories were very, very similar.
Yeah.
And, they...
Again, exactly what Dolores does.
Yeah,
Now,
exactly.
Wasn't Project Blue Book created after the 1942 incident?
Project Blue Book was,
I thought you had read that to me, that it was one of these incidences that sort of provoked them to create that.
Let's see. This is Project Blue Book. It's a series of studies of unidentified flying objects conducted by the United States Air Force. It started in 1952. It was the third study of its kind. A termination order was given for the study in December 1969. Now, it was the third in the study, but
so you got 1942 Ballet, you have 47 Roswell. The other one we didn't mention was 1955?
52. Yeah, 52, the Washington Flap.
That's why they started Project Blue Book.
Yes, I believe you're correct on that one.
So that's when all these, I think Independence Day is sort of kind of based on that a little bit.
Yes.
In a much more violent way.
It is. Let's come back to the Washington Flap, because I think we should talk about that.
Okay.
For sure. So anyway, they put them under hypnosis and yeah, all of these things start coming out. And it's really interesting to hear some of the things. One of the things that I found out was that Betty claims that they did what we now consider to be an amniocentesis, which is a needle into the stomach to check for a baby if it has problems. But these aliens used it as a pregnancy test, and they used it before we were using it.
Right.
So it was kind of like, she didn't know what was going on. But another interesting part of that is when they did that to her, she said that it hurt very bad. And they weren't expecting it to hurt. They told her it wasn't going to hurt. So when she started screaming, one of them put his hand on her head, and the pain went away.
Wow.
Yeah. So we know that they use. I mean, I believe that it's not just one planet. There are so many different kinds of alien life that we can't categorize them all in one, big group, so to speak. But most of what I understand is that they use a lot of energy, things like crystals and different sources like that. And that they even have been known to use crystals as fuel for their ships.
It powers it.
Yes, exactly.
It does.
So, yeah.
And that's, again, something I think in our world that was known anciently.
Yeah.
And we just stopped.
Yeah. If you want to hear more about this story, it is very interesting. There is a book that came out about it called The Uninterrupted Journey. And then also there's a 1975 movie called The UFO Incident. And this is about the Hills experience with this UFO. Yeah, because they were one of the first abduction cases. They didn't even want to talk about it, let alone be famous from it. And that's what ended up happening.
What was the number on Blue Book, Project Blue Book? How many, in the time it existed, how many cases that they actually had reported?
Yes.
It was thousands, wasn't it?
It was. The number was pretty high. Okay. Let's see. In the 19 years that they were doing Project Blue Book, there was more than 10,000 sightings reported.
Wow.
There is also a national reporting line. Did you know that you can call to report if you see a UFO?
Really?
Yep. I did a little bit of research, actually, because you had mentioned once about seeing a UFO.
I have.
Yes. So I don't know if you want to share that story, but I did look up to see if there were any UFOs reported around that time in the Thousand Oaks, and there is one listed in 1981.
The year I told you was 83, 84, but I could be wrong. I was in the third or fourth grade, so I take that back because I did have to repeat a grade. So, yeah, it would have been about 81, 82. I lived in Thousand Oaks. I was in a neighborhood in a cul-de-sac, and there was, I think, 3 other kids or 2 other boys with me. We were outside playing, and it was had just gotten dark. And off in the foothills, there's some like airplane kind of towers with big blinking red lights, to let them know that there's hills there. So I could kind of see those off in the distance, which sort of gave me a sense of distance, but also gave me a sense of height.
Right.
And then we were all doing our thing, playing whatever we were playing, and I just happened to look up, and I was like, what the heck is this? And I even said something to them, and we all sort of like looked at it for a moment, and yeah, I was not like in awe, but like, I don't think I've ever seen anything like that.
Right.
And it was kind of diamond shaped with lights that I guess would be like yellow and blue or red around it. Diamond shaped flat, like, parallel with the horizon.
Right.
And lights around the edges of like blue and blue and yellow or green and yellow. And it had this big ball underneath the bottom that glowed. It was like a red, looked kind of red. So it was just, I don't know if I said anything to my parents or not, or I don't remember, but I know that these other kids saw it, and I wish I kind of knew them to find them and ask them. Right, totally. But fast forward years later, and I'm watching like Unsolved Mysteries, and it's like UFO sightings, and they show a bunch of drawings that young kids have drawn about different UFOs they've seen. And lo and behold, there was a young kid's drawing of exactly what I saw. And I was floored. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, to me, there's absolutely no doubt.
Yeah.
I've had another experience that I wasn't too sure. And you know me, I'm a sky gazer.
Yeah, you are.
So,
I like to debunk you, but.
Yeah, I mean, I'll spot like that Mylar balloon that's like way up there.
I'm like, no, babe, that's a balloon.
And it's like, dancing around and you think it's something, but it's not. But
yeah. But
no, that was unexplainable.
Yeah, and it's funny because I have a friend that was once telling a story about a UFO that she saw in Thousand Oaks in the early 80s, and that kind of clicked when you were telling me that story. And I'm like, wow, I wonder if you guys saw the same UFO. Yeah. Because I remember when she told me that story, I was like, sure you did. Yeah. Sure you saw a UFO. I believe it now.
As a matter of fact, another one is Here in Simi, and I found a YouTube video of it that was shot in Simi. I found a couple of them in the general area, but maybe 2003, 2004. And it's a bunch of like light orbs, and there's a group of them, maybe 10, 15, and they up in the sky. It's full on daylight, and they kind of glow where they look like they're dimming and getting brighter, and so they almost look like they're disappearing and not, but they're moving around and sort of reappearing and disappearing. And I was thinking to myself, does anybody else see this?
Right.
So when I stumbled on that YouTube video, I was like, oh yeah, we see it.
I wonder, like, after doing some of this research, and that lady Betty, she said that she was never abducted again by aliens, but she did see UFOs all the time after that. She said once you know what you're looking for, that you would see it more. She said that most people they look up high in the sky, right, but that you really should look more at tree level for whatever reason. They're at tree level. Huh. So, yeah. So maybe there's more out there than we even see,
I'll have to keep that in mind.
But you are definitely in the minority, because 100% of our listeners said that they have not had a close encounter like that.
Well, I don't know if I would call it a close encounter.
Yeah, I guess it wouldn't be a close encounter, but you did see
the thing UFO. Was like, what I would say, like, as far as, the poofy clouds are in our, up in our sky, they look like they're not that tall, but not that high, but they're really high. You know? It looked like it was that low, and it was huge. The thing was huge.
Yeah. I would definitely give you some kind of...
So, no, thank God I didn't actually have like a close encounter, but I don't know what your idea of close is, so maybe that's a general question.
I guess maybe that. But So let's see, what else did I ask our listeners? Do you believe that aliens walk amongst us? And 64% said yes. And we've talked about this a little bit. I do believe it. And one of the main reasons I do is because when this spiritual awakening started and you were asking my mom questions, one of the things you asked her was about aliens. And she did confirm that they do walk amongst us.
Oh, yeah. And she's not the only one that I've heard that from, nor Dolores, so many people.
I believe
and
it.
as a matter of fact, if 67% believe that, then you know what? You're having a closer encounter than you thought you were.
And I wonder, too, like, do we know that? Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're from another planet and your people are like, oh, we're going to drop you off on Earth for a little while, do you know that you're here for that? Or do you know what I mean? Or is it just like your soul is from another planet and so... I don't know.
Yeah, that's a whole nother wormhole I would love to jump down, but I can't right now.
Velociraptor
that's a good question, though. I mean, I would think somehow your conscience is sort of erased.
Yeah.
Like your memory on some level. But that's a whole, like I said, a whole nother thing.
And I asked, do you ever feel like you are an alien? Because you know what? Maybe there are people that do. And 25% of people said yes, that they have thought. And so I started thinking about that a little bit. And I guess you just never really know, maybe. But I don't think I am. Not now. Not in this life.
Yeah, not in this life.
Yeah,
but I
I'm
think
pretty earthly.
I'll be honest. I think every one of our souls have to experience a different world and a different life.
Yeah, I believe it.
I think so.
I believe it. And, well, that was
more than
question.
one. But I won't start on that either.
Yeah, then we'll have to get into all of it. But so I did ask for those people that believed in reincarnation if they believe that your soul could have lived on other planets. And 68% said yes.
Yeah,
I definitely believe it. Why would we just be limited to Earth?
No, because it's weird. I feel like somehow as humans, we understand our limitations here.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating to us because I think instinctively inside, if we really, really kind of look inside, we know we've had less limitations.
Right.
And Earth is, it's one of the schools. I think any planet is a school because it's in the physical world.
Right.
But Earth is one of the tougher ones. We're one of the dumber ones.
Yes.
And we're one of the tougher ones.
Yes.
To live on because we are so aggressive and so close-minded.
Listening to Dolores's book, it made me quite a few times go, why did I pick this planet to incarnate on? Like, seriously. But I know we all have this path and we all pick, and we're not going to get into all that.
Right.
But so I understand that there is a purpose, but it's like hearing what some of these other planets are like and how they're so peaceful. And you guys really need to listen to this book. It's amazing.
That's a wonderful question, babe. And I really honestly think it's because we know as souls, this is one of the hardest ones to live on.
Yeah, I think so.
So we know, for me, this is all based on karma.
Yeah.
It's not religion. It's about karma.
Right.
And I think we know that we can work off a ton of karma on this planet.
Yes, I believe that.
That our soul can do that. And we can go on and to the next thing.
You know what? One of the biggest things that I think is a problem for people as far as this subject goes is that we want to put everything in a small little label, you know? Like, we look at life on other planets, but we're only looking for what it takes for a human to survive. We're not looking for what it could take other life forms to survive. Like in this book, again, some of the people she has under hypnosis, they talk about how this one planet doesn't have the amount of gravity that Earth does. It has like 1/6 the amount of gravity.
Right.
So it doesn't rain there. So they have their own ways of adapting, and we have ours.
Yeah, and their planet wasn't on an axis, so they didn't have seasons.
Right. They don't have
It was
seasons.
either hot or nice, like warm, comfortable.
Yeah. So when we're looking for life, we're looking for what we consider life would need to survive.
Right.
But all of these beings have made their own ways of survival.
Yeah.
You know, and if expanded a little bit on what we think, I don't believe, my personal belief is that within our solar system, we're the intelligent life, at least. Maybe there's other organisms, maybe,
In our solar system or our galaxy?
No, in our solar system. I don't know about our galaxy. I mean, some of these stories I heard, they sound...
I don't know. I mean...
But like as far as the planets that
I don't know if any planets in our solar system, if there's life.
Yeah.
I definitely believe that there's certain aliens, extraterrestrials that are totally cool.
Yeah.
And there's some that aren't so cool.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But the laws of the universe don't really allow for these beings to come raiding us and take over. That's just not, they're not interested in that.
No, these are things that we've filled our head with movies and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's like if you came into contact with them and they were freaked out by you, maybe something would happen. But they're not here to take over. And I think there's a lot of other beings that aren't aggressive that also watch over us. They protect us.
Yeah, most likely. I agree with that. Let's talk about, we said we were going to come back to the Washington flap.
Yeah.
I found this to be a really cool story because this was in Washington, D.C. It was 2 consecutive weekends. So it was the weekend of July 12th, 1952 and July 29th, 1952. Right. And over these 2 weekends, they saw on radar these, what do you call them, blips that were coming up. And
there were 7.
There were, right. There was on one of those days. There was 7.
Okay.
But it was like some in one area and some in the other, and they were sending like the, what do you call those, the fighter jets out there, and they weren't seeing anything, but it was coming up on all of the different radars, right? And they were having eyewitness sightings of these things, like zooming off really quick, like rates of they were saying like 70,000 miles an hour.
Right.
Absolutely crazy. And then they come back, the Air Force comes back and says, oh, this was a mirage. Most of it was it was imagination. It was computer technical difficulties. And, they don't want to upset the country or the world or whatever, because it does make people nervous. And you're talking about mass hysteria, probably. Because
you really are. It's like, what's the lesser of 2 evils? Like, even come to the Area 51, showdown. You really want to see and know?
Right.
Because your mind might actually be blown.
Right.
And you might go nuts from, like seeing what's really going on.
What's really out there,
because we're like a tiny little grain of dust.
Yeah.
Floating in a giant universe that's still growing as far as they can tell.
Yeah.
It's expanding. And there's stars being born all the time, which means that's creating new planets, new life. It is impossible for us to be alone.
Yep.
Absolutely. I think it's not only logically impossible, morally impossible. I don't know how else to explain it.
Right. It just comes down to the same thing of that people don't believe what they can't see.
Right.
And you've seen pictures of our solar system, and most people, or maybe not most, I can't say, but a lot of people believe that's it. That's all there is. But there is more and more and more and more, and it's probably infinite.
And then where did these black holes go?
Right. So
other universes, possibly.
Right. So my opinion is that we're just not very evolved on this topic, and so we don't know yet as a planet that there really are other beings out there. And I think that those beings that are out there, for the most part, want to stay away from us.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, because we're scary.
Aggressive.
Yeah.
We don't stand a chance, okay? I mean, these things can move so fast, so we don't have a missile or a bullet or anything that's ever going to touch them. And we don't even know, outside of if that could touch them, what kind of force they have to even reject that, So, but look at the technology advancements as we've had since, the mid to late 40s and on.
Right.
That you start seeing like those stealth fighters that actually look like four-dimensional.
They do.
The
They're
way they're
wild.
shaped.
Yeah.
And that's for radar purposes.
Mm-hmm.
And so where do we learn all this? Do we just come up with that on our own?
Right.
Did we learn that from them? Did we learn that from another life?
Mm-hmm.
Possibly that one of these scientists was somewhere else.
Right.
And had this knowledge, and what might have seemed as an epiphany or a discovery
Right.
is actually just information that's now being re-released to enable us. Because tell you what, we keep going the way we're going, and it's not going to last that long.
It's not.
We have to tap into this to save Mother Earth. Otherwise, it's not going to be pretty.
Yeah.
For a lot.
Right.
But that's a whole other.
Yeah, that's a whole other episode in itself, the Save Our Planet episode. So let's talk a little bit about this raid of Area 51 and what's been going on this week, because it has turned into something a lot bigger than anybody, I think, expected, especially the kid, or I don't know if he's a kid, but the guy that started this event, so to speak. His name, what we know right now is his name is Matty Roberts. I looked up Matty Roberts on Facebook. He's from California. There's two of them, but I think I know which one it is because he looks more like somebody that would be interested in aliens.
Matty? There's two boys named Matty?
Yeah.
Wow. I've never heard that name as a boy.
Yeah, Matty Roberts. So they haven't said much about him yet, just that he's very scared about the FBI. It was all a joke. Yeah. I can't even remember exactly the premise behind it, but it was a meme that he created, and then it just spiraled out of control.
How old
from
is
there.
Matty?
They didn't say. They really haven't gotten into any specifics as of right now. He's probably very, very nervous.
Well, not smart, Matty, but, you know.
He didn't mean to do it. That's
yeah,
the
at least
thing.
you said that I didn't mean to do it.
Yeah.
I saw somebody else that, besides him, that they said was posting all this stuff about how he would hypothetically go about doing it maybe some different ways. But he then posted, I didn't, U.S. government and Navy, I didn't mean this. I'm just being hypothetical.
Right.
But you know what? If 3 million people show up, or even half that, or whatever, and actually try to do this, I feel sorry for those people that started this.
I do too.
Because if they don't get them, society might get them.
Yeah. I don't know where this is going to go. I'm really interested to find out, because right now there are, like, I joined this Facebook event and group just to watch and to see the things that are said. And right now there's 1.6 million that say they're going and 1.2 million that say they're interested. And this hasn't even been up there for a week. They have a website called stormarea51.com where you can buy merchandise.
Right.
It's gotten a little bit blown out of control.
A little.
But what you have to remember is that there are 2 months and a lot can happen between now and then. This is it. Remember when it was Kiki, do you love me? You know what I mean? It's like it's always something, and then it's on to the next thing. So hopefully...
Well, again, like you mentioned, I don't know if you said this tonight, but earlier you were like, and look at the amount of time they've given them.
Yeah, to prepare. It's like, come on,
it's
really?
Like, you obviously don't want to fight if you want to sneak up, not sneak up. If you want to announce that you're going to be there.
All 3 million of us are here.
It's like that scene of, remember back in the 60s, it's a famous photograph where the person puts a flower in the soldier's rifle down the barrel of their rifle.
Uh-huh.
That was a scary time then.
Right.
And that's such an iconic photo and moment for someone to be as brave to do that.
Yeah.
I love that message, but this is a little different. And I don't think they're going to go with that kind of, hey, peace and love, please let us in and let us see the Martians.
Let us see the alien. Let us take an alien home.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what, I have been highly entertained this week with all the memes.
Right.
Highly.
Oh,
it's
I
one
know.
after the other that makes me laugh, and I love it. So thank you to Matty Roberts for the fun memes for the week. That's for sure. But I hope that this poor guy doesn't get in any trouble, because he didn't mean anything by it. And honestly, like, I've done some research on this and what people actually think and what they're planning to do. And it sounds like for the most part, people know that this is just a joke and that, they're just talking about it in a hypothetical way. But I have also read that every hotel in that area is now booked.
Right. So
we don't know what's going to happen. I don't think that there's going to be 1 million people storming into Area 51. I wish, honestly, that they would put more effort into something else. Like this amount of people and amount of backing for something, if they put this effort into the other things going on in our country, like the border crisis,
right.
Maybe it would help. You're not helping anything.
How about
with
start
this.
with your own life before you try to take over national security?
Right. You're not. What are you doing? You want to storm into an area that may or may not.
There's even celebrities that are in saying, right?
That's a lot of them. That's why I got to go with the fact that everybody knows that this is a joke and nobody's actually going to show up there. Yeah. But maybe I'm being unrealistic. I don't know.
I'll tell you what, if people do show up there, it's going to show you. And I'm all about the First Amendment and freedom of speech, but words and thoughts have energy.
Yes.
And be careful with that energy because you can stir up something as bad as a catastrophe like that.
You really can. You could start a civil war without even meaning to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would not be pretty.
No, it wouldn't. And I mean, I really hope that we're smarter than this, that we all realize this is just memes and good time.
I hope people are just joking because I don't think Maddie wants to spend the next 50 to 80 years in the brig.
Well, and I've been watching this group, the one that it's called Storm Area 51. They can't stop all of us. I've been watching this group and seeing some of the things that are posted in it. And it's really hysterical because you have people that are like, I'm driving my food truck from New Jersey. What do you think aliens like to eat? And just stupid things like that. I'm sure
all the talk shows would jump in on it, too.
Oh, yeah. This is all over the news. This group is all over the news. It's fun to just kind of watch the things that are posted, but then also the things like there was one today about that actual Air Force, I don't know what you call them, Air Force, lieutenants and things are friend requesting people on Facebook.
Right.
People in this group, they're watching. They are watching. If you're really involved in this, they're watching you.
Why not storm Washington, D.C. and demand new laws about this? So that because we are taxpayers and our money's paying for this, that we're entitled to more, I don't know how the process would be, but going in there and demanding to walk into this facility.
Well,
and the Navy even said, I read their statement, it was they weren't threatening anybody, but they said, we really hope that nobody decides to make this decision because this is a training ground.
Right.
So
it's Air Force training. At least that's what they say. I looked it up and it's what is Area 51? Highly classified U.S. Air Force base located within Nevada. It's a test and training range. They weren't allowed to on Google Earth to show Area 51.
That's where they've developed the stealth fighters and all. Right. Where they test it. That's all done there.
Right. But you weren't allowed to even look at it on Google Earth and stuff like that. And now you are because of the 2013 Freedom of Information Act. Right. You can actually see it now on Google.
Good.
The thing is that could there be something going on with aliens there? Sure. But it could be going on anywhere.
Right.
And what is it that they're doing? We don't know. They know a lot of things. Our government knows so much that they don't share with us. And a lot of it, I believe, is for good reason, because you don't want to get the people all paranoid.
No.
And we have so many movies that have taught us that these so-called aliens want to put a big UFO above our head and then either zap us up or blow our cities away. And it's no.
If they wanted to do that, that would have happened.
They would have done it already.
The human race wouldn't be evolving. It would have been done.
Right, exactly. They don't want to do that.
Interest.
We've been watching too many movies.
No. And it's turned the human race into something terrible.
Right. It really has. It makes me sad.
It does. like between the Disneyland fight,
Oh,
the
God.
family at Disneyland, and this, we're going to raid Area 51. I was like,
We have so
guys,
many
you're
other
really not
problems.
helping us look any better
Right.
to the rest of the universe with these kind of actions
Yeah.
and behavior.
Even to the rest of the world, it's like, isn't it bad enough what the rest of the world thinks about us? But
It's a bummer.
I don't know. We'll see what happens with this. It'll be interesting, but I really hope that, I don't know. I hope nothing bad comes of it. I really think it's just a joke.
Well, fingers crossed, I pray.
Yeah, me too.
Good luck, because I'm not going.
I'm not going.
First and foremost, it's going to be hot as hell, and I'm not sitting out in the Nevada desert
Oh, no, we don't do good in the desert.
to be possibly shot at.
Right. And I don't
Sorry.
really want to be around that many people anyways. I don't really care for large crowds.
Right.
So, you know,
Especially if you get a large crowd like that that's angry.
yeah.
It's just not good.
Yeah. And there really isn't anything to be angry about.
Well,
That's
even the
what
guy
gets me
that
the
posted
most.
that said, if we run at him like this ninja guy in this video game,
Right.
which is head down and arms
Yeah.
behind your back,
Yeah.
you can avoid a lot more bullets. I mean,
Right.
come on, man.
But see, all these things are all jokes. But the
Right.
problem is that there are those people that take them seriously. And
Well,
then,
I don't take them seriously, but I've like
Then you
you've
get put on
now
a watch list.
You've now stirred the consciousness,
Yeah.
and some people are ignorant enough to take you seriously.
Well, absolutely.
Again, the power of words.
Right. And, you know, at this day and age, you kind of have to take these threats seriously because you never know what is a threat and what isn't.
Right.
So, I don't know.
Sucks.
Just my opinion, stay away from it. And you know what? I asked, did I already say this? I can't remember. That of our listeners that I polled and asked if they were going, 100% said no. So,
Well,
that's
that's
good.
good.
Everybody stay away because, yeah, we have no business really out there. I honestly don't believe that's what they're doing out there anyways. I think if there's a place they're doing something like that, it's more secret than the Nevada desert because there are
Well, there
way
might
more
be other
remote-
places that are secret. I mean, not even visible, way underground.
Right.
Yeah, we know those things exist. Have they in the past done things like you're talking about extraterrestrial type of stuff?
Maybe.
I think so. And just look at the time, the timestamps of certain events with Roswell and then 52
Yeah.
and then now the building of this facility.
Right. I mean, it definitely could be like a place that they used to when they had the Project Blue Book and
Mhm.
everything. But, well, if it was still going on, it probably isn't now because they've threatened to storm. So
There's some
probably
interesting
moved all the aliens. Nobody's getting
There
one.
are some interesting statements that I've watched some videos. Some older men that are retired and are sworn to secrecy
Mhm.
at the time of being employed by the government there, but felt like the public should know, so they waited until basically they're on their deathbed
Right. Makes sense.
to say, because it doesn't matter at that point
Yeah,
for them.
exactly. Because you don't want to mess with the
So,
government.
and some of the stuff they say is it actually is pretty spot on with what Dolores says,
Yeah. I
about 'em.
believe it.
Yeah.
I just don't know. I don't think you're going to find anything out there now. That's for sure.
Right.
So don't
Nope.
waste your time and your money. There's people saying, hopefully this will turn into like a big party in the desert and it'll become an annual thing. And you know what? Wouldn't that be cool? Like a, big alien hippie party in the
Yeah.
desert. Let's make it that.
Burning Man happens in Nevada.
Right. Exactly. It's
And that's
hot.
on government land.
Yeah. Could have waited a couple
Chris.
more months till it cooled off, but whatever. Let's make it a party.
No
I'm
thanks.
still not going. I'll
Nope.
watch it from the couch, like I said before. Yeah. I'm not going.
No.
Mm-mm.
But, yeah. Well, here we are.
Yeah,
We did it. We
That
talked
was
about
fun.
some aliens.
I know. I like the topic.
I do too. I love it.
Yeah.
I find it fascinating. I think I've always found myself, even when I was very young,
Yeah.
always looking up at the sky, whether it was night or day, and pondering that.
Yeah.
So I think inside I really know that truth.
Yeah. And, that's the other thing is that we realize that these are our beliefs and we're not trying to
Right.
to push our beliefs on
No.
anybody, but we just give you that kind of little eye-opening thing to say, hey, just think about a little bit more about these things that maybe have been taught to us over our lives that aren't exactly right. Like, we don't know anything about aliens. We're afraid of them because we don't know. It's not because of these things we see on TV. It's the fear of the unknown.
Right.
But open your mind a little bit and you might
And that's just
see
within
a whole different world.
a lot of these kind of reports that we've shared tonight are just within like man's kind of most recent history.
Yeah, well,
we don't really
within
know
time.
what
Yeah,
happened
way back.
thousands of years ago. I know that we're still have people trying to crack the theory of how the pyramids were built.
Right.
You know, they don't even really for sure understand that, know that, or Stonehenge, or
Right.
what's that?
The Easter.
Yeah, it's Easter Island, but the Pichu,
Yeah, I'm not
where
sure.
these stones are cut with like laser cut precision, and they fit together like at 90-degree angles,
Wow.
and that how
Yeah, how did they do that?
right,
Like the guy with the big hair. Alien.
exactly.
It was alien.
They're
Could
all
be.
to blame.
It very well could be. We
But
have to keep open minds about these things.
we
You never know.
have brains,
Yeah.
and we're very similar to a lot of these beings, and then we're not similar to some of them, but
Yep.
the similarity is just as canny, I think, is uncanny, I should say, is our resemblance to chimps,
Yeah.
monkeys, that we have brains, they're
Yeah.
big, they're powerful, and we don't even use them for half fraction of
Yeah,
what we
not
could.
even.
So
Yeah. Again, if you are interested on this subject, we highly recommend Dolores Cannon's book, Keeper of the Garden.
yeah, she's great. She's got a
Yeah.
lot of books, but
She does, but this one is specifically about aliens and past life regression, about bringing out those past lives,
Yeah.
alien lives, and they really, really get into very specific detail about the different things that happen on
The
these different
worlds.
planets, and yeah, it's amazing.
their structure,
Yep.
their anatomy, their vehicles. And again, Dolores is not even a psychic or a medium. She was just a
Hypnotherapist, yeah.
hypnotherapist, excuse me.
Yep.
That just kind of documented and cataloged all her sessions.
Yep.
She kind of changes the client's name for anonymity a lot of the times, but just technically writes down all of what they say in these sessions,
Yeah.
and
Turned them into
so
books.
many of them are similar. It's like, oh wow.
That's the reason that I know that this is valid, and because
Right.
these accounts are not just one person saying these things. She's done things to make sure that the information that she's getting is
Yeah.
consistent and with different people. It's very impressive. I can't wait to
And
read
some
the
of
rest
these
her
questions
books.
were questions that I was asking your mom when you were channeling her
Right.
at about a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And a lot of it she wouldn't even really give me answers on. It was more like, you've got to learn this on your
Yeah,
own.
you have to learn it
figure
for
this
yourself.
out.
Mm-hmm.
She
Which is
did
what we've been
talk
doing.
about the existence of them.
Yes.
But as I got into these books, and then we channel her again, and I said, is Dolores basically right in what she's
Yeah.
reporting? And she said, yeah.
Yeah.
So check it out if you're interested.
Yeah.
Dolores Cannon, amazing.
Yep. Very much.
Well, did you want to give a little plug about anything?
Let's do that. Let's share our social media pages for our listeners that don't have it. We have a Facebook and an Instagram, and you can find those at Spiritual Joneses, or on Twitter, it is at Spiritual Jones. We also have our episodes come up on YouTube, so you can listen to them on YouTube,
Cool.
and that's also at Spiritual Joneses. If you have a show idea or music or questions or anything that you'd like to share with us, you can email us at spiritualjoneses@gmail.com.
Please.
And then if you would like a reading from me or to talk to me about something related, you can find me at SamanthaJonesPsychicMedium.com, or on Facebook, it is Beyond the Bridge 11 is my Facebook page.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. I will go ahead and do the same. I do art and painting. If you like music and art, I kind of blend the two, and I have a website now.
Yay.
Thanks to my wonderful wife. Thank you. djonesartcollection.com. pieces are up there. The store's not open yet, but the pieces are up there. You can see what I have. I have a few more I'm going to be adding pretty soon. But I'm really excited about that. Thank you so much. Came out cool.
Yeah. Of course.
It looks good. So I'm excited about that. And I also play music in a band, Gypsy Brown. So I know I've been teasing about this big news, but I got to go one more week.
Yeah.
And next week I can spill the beans.
Maybe.
But what?
Maybe.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe. If all goes well. But I'm really excited. I mean, I feel like this renewed sense, even amongst the group, people are like, whoa, I can't believe this is actually going to happen.
Yeah.
So we're excited, and I'll share that hopefully next week, pretty sure. But that's pretty much it. Oh, we have a website also, gypsybrown.com. I did forget to mention D-Joan Art Collection on Facebook and Instagram as well. And Gypsy Brown has a website, gypsybrown.com, and you can find us on Instagram and Facebook as well. So
there are our 10,000 social media pages.
Yeah, if you can't find me somehow, then there's something wrong. Because we say this every week. People are probably sick of it.
Oh, I'm sick of it.
That's all right.
But it is what you gotta do, you know.
That's what we're doing, man.
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot of social media, but we love doing it. So you do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
I need an assistant.
You really do.
Yeah. Do all these things.
Down the road.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. Baby steps.
Yep.
All right. Well, I think that's about it, huh?
I think that's it.
Well, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in
Yes,
and listening again. We appreciate it.
We do.
We had
Very
a fun
much.
time. Great topic.
Yeah.
And we look forward to next week.
Yes, we do.
And we hope you guys have a wonderful week.
Wonderful.
And we will see you next week. Peace and love.